Let's try and understand this a little more with our guest, who will be able to give us a sense now of what this visit of the Prime Minister might look like to the US, and whether defense is really going to be the thrust of this partnership, at least this time around during the PM's state visit. Richard Rossow, Advani Chair in the US-India Policy Studies at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, is joining us live now from the US. Many thanks for speaking with us. Richard, will the thrust clearly be on the defense sector when Prime Minister Modi visits the US?
Defense will be highlighted. It'll be, along with critical technologies and people to people, one of the three areas I understand that will get major focus during the visit. We'd love to see increased cooperation. India really kind of is demanding access to intellectual property of U.S. defense material, not simply a buyer-seller relationship, but co-development. And a potential GE engine for fighters is really kind of the nodal there, but it's maybe some work on startups. But also look at a defense strategy. The kind of threats that we see from China are evolving. The different theaters are popping up in new and different ways. And we need to find how we can collaborate together more effectively to make sure that the regional security remains stable and secure, which, of course, is underpinning such great commercial relations that are starting to bloom.
Richard, I understand that this might also require clearance from the US Congress. What is the process like?
My understanding is Congress shouldn't have to give a nod for this. The Department of Defense should have the ability and authority to sign agreements to allow co-development of technology. But it's a long road. We first announced the intention on looking at jet engine technology all the way back when President Obama visited back in 2015 for Republic Day. And it was very difficult to find a commercial arrangement at that time where both sides would be satisfied on sharing enough intellectual property, but at a level which a private entity that invested all this money, GE, would be comfortable with. But it does feel, since this program was re-announced earlier this year, there's new energy. It really has accelerated, and all eyes are certainly going to be watching closely on whether they've moved far enough to have a formal announcement during the visit. It appears so, and the fact that they're able to do so kind of shows that even things that just less than a decade ago were difficult to move under the current environment are moving much faster than ever were before.
Richard, you already mentioned the common threat of China. The aggression of China is certainly one important aspect, and we are seeing that being one of the reasons for the kind of engagement in the defense sector between India and the United States also. But traditionally, Russia has been India's defense partner, and a lot of equipment has come to India from Russia. Is this also a move by the US to draw India away from Russia?
Well, even before Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the United States wanted to prove its interest and value as a defense supplier to India. But of course, the relationship between the United States and India on defense goes well beyond the equipment that we may or may not sell or that we may or may not co-produce. We have a much deeper alignment on shared priorities, and that, of course, focused on China. Whereas Russia is actually developing stronger relations with China during the current environment. The United States and India both, sometimes very different theaters. India is fighting a hot war with China in the mountains and has increasing concerns about China's increased naval presence in the Indian Ocean. The United States very focused on Taiwan Strait, South China Sea, Pacific Islands, East China Sea. So the theater, we may have some differences in terms of which we would prioritize, but China lies at the heart of it. And whereas Russia is looking to expand and build its relationship with China, the United States certainly would like to come in and be a better supplier and better partner to India, because we both agree that China presents the biggest threat that we're both going to face in the coming century.